Hi there, thanks for coming along watching this video. My name's Richard Waterman and I actually work with coaches to help them to create six-figure incomes through a service-based approach. And one of the coaches that I've been working with recently, this lovely lady next to me, is Sadia Jaffery, who I've done a number of videos with now. It's not because she's my favorite, it's because she asks, but you know, I always say yes. And one of the things we were talking about was niching. So while I have a variety of coaching clients, increasingly 2020, one of the things I'm going to be doing is working more with coaches, because I love working with them. I love the results that they get and the impact that they have in the world. And we were talking about Sadia's niche, and one of them specifically is working with dentists. And I was kind of quite intrigued about that space, which I personally don't know much about apart from visiting them. So Sadia, tell us a bit more about dentists. I'm kind of intrigued by that niche.
Yeah, I can talk about dentists. Well, basically, my sister's a dentist. And through my sister, through her network, I've started coaching a number of dentists. And what's interesting is how we all assume that they live this life of luxury. They've got this amazing life. But in reality, it's not as amazing, or it's not as rosy as it seems.
Yeah, it's very true that I noticed with sort of peak performers, or sort of high level business people, because they earn a lot of money, often people assume that everything's got to be great. And often they think everything should be great because they're sort of judging themselves by what they think things should be. And it's not like that. And so what are some of the particular stresses and struggles that dentists go through?
So I would say the biggest stress and struggle is the fear of being sued. And they live in this fear all the time. They're constantly worried that they're going to get sued, that there's going to be a complaint from a patient. Every time they get a letter from a solicitor, they just assume that it's going to be a complaint from a patient. So the worry is basically they're going to get a complaint. It's not going to be settled by their insurance. It's going to go to the GDC, and the GDC is basically the General Dental Council. They're going to do an investigation, and then they will basically take away the license of the dentist, so they can't practice anymore. So that is their worst case scenario, and they live in that worst case scenario a lot of the time. And what I find interesting is that because of this fear, they don't even it stops them from being ambitious, and it stops them from taking risks. So for example, I've coached a few dentists who have taken and completed these really expensive, amazing courses, like implants, for example. And then when it's time for them to actually implement that, to do the treatments, they hold back because they're scared. They're scared they might make a mistake and there might be a complaint, and it might go to the GDC and their license is going to get taken away, which I find really sad because, they've invested a lot of time and money into this, and now it's finally time for them to reap the rewards of their hard work. And that is when they actually take a step back because they're being held back by fear. They're worried about their UDA targets. And in many cases, the salary that they get is linked with their UDA target. So if they don't hit the target, they don't get the money that they've agreed with their manager. A lot of the time, the cause of the stress could be the people that they're working with. It could be nurses, because a lot of dentists sometimes feel that the nurses are not competent enough, like they need more training. Sometimes there's a really fast turnover between the nurses, and they feel like they can't build that relationship with them. And obviously, the quality of treatment that they provide to the patient depends on this teamwork that they have between themselves and the nurses.
Yeah.
Then other colleagues, other dentists. So I've heard stories about dentists going away on holiday, and when they come back, their patients have been taken away by the other dentists. And then, and then they struggle to meet their targets. And if they don't meet their target, they're not going to get paid the extra amount that they've agreed with their manager. So all this stress and all this anxiety and all this worry starts to manifest itself physically and emotionally. So a lot of the dentists that I've coached, they experience headaches, they experience sort of pain in their shoulders and in their back. A lot of them struggle to sleep at night. And also, I think this this way of thinking that something's going to go wrong, like someone's going to come and complain, this constant worry and expecting the worst to happen, it really affects them psychologically. And I think it really affects their mindset. They become more pessimistic and expect the worst. And this then sort of gets stuck in a downward spiral. And when that happens, it starts to affect the relationship they have with the people around them. So it starts to affect the relationship with their spouse. It could affect the relationship with their children, their friends. And usually that's the point when they realize that they really need to do something about this, that they really need to change.
Yeah, there's a number of patterns there that are very familiar to me, like people being held back by fear, communication challenges, not feeling you can take a holiday for various reasons. And, at least some people do hit that threshold. And it's one of the reasons why we're doing this video, is to bring awareness that, there is something you can do about it. Because the ones that realize they do need to change can come to you and get the help and make those changes. In some ways, the ones I feel sorry for, the ones that are putting up with all these challenges and just haven't realized that they need help, or awareness that they could get help. So I know you've got quite a very sort of unique style of helping people. How would you help someone that came to you?
So, the reason it's unique is it's unique, but it works. And the reason sort of we're both laughing is because, I basically take them into the depths of their fears. And I know that sounds really cruel, but it works really well. And the reason it works really well is because when they go into the depths of their fears, they realize it's actually not that bad. So what happens if you get a complaint from a patient? What happens if you can't settle it? What happens if it goes to the GDC? What happens if there's an investigation? What happens if at the end of the investigation, they take away your license and you can't practice as a dentist anymore? What happens then? And then they say, well, I'll find something else to do. And they realize it's actually not so bad. And with one of them, I actually used numbers. So give me numbers. How likely is it that you're going to get a complaint from a patient? How likely is it that you're not going to be able to settle it? How likely is it it's going to go to the GDC? And then how likely is it that, the GDC will decide to take away your license? And you multiply all those probabilities together, you come up with a really small number. It's a really small number, and they think about it all the time. And even if that happens, at the end of it, they say, it's not so bad. I'll just do something else. So the reason is that they are constantly thinking about things going wrong. And because, we've talked about this in coaching, if you think about something, it gets bigger. So because they're constantly thinking about things going wrong, that is all getting bigger and bigger in their head. So I talked to them about this fear, but I also encourage them to be bold and take risks. If you've done the course, if you've invested so much time and money and energy into it, do the treatment. By all means, take all the necessary precautions. Tell the patient about everything that could go wrong, and work on your communication as well. Sound confident when you speak with the patients, and we talk about communication quite a lot as well, and how it sort of impacts the relationship they have with not just the patient, but also like the people that they work with, the colleagues, their nurses, other dentists, the practice manager. But don't be held back by fear. Take that risk. Take a calculated risk. I talk about conflict, whether it's with a patient or it's with someone in the surgery, how to resolve conflicts. When you're having a conversation, which is difficult, are you being logical and factual, or are you being emotional? Are you in human mode? Are you in chimp mode? Because if you're in chimp mode, you're going to awaken the chimp in the other person. And I know I'm talking this language because you suggested I read The Chimp Paradox, and I've actually recommended that book to nearly all of my clients. But I explained that concept in advance, and they understand that. And a lot of my clients actually really like that book. So we talk about communication, effective communication, how to deal with conflicts, the fact that, body language is a big part of communication. People usually assume it's words, but it's body language, it's the tone you use, and then it's words. Words is actually quite a small part of communication. And I also tell them, get ready to be sued, because on average, a dentist is probably going to get sued 4 to 5 times in their lifetime. So it's probably going to happen. So prepare yourself for it. So when you do get that letter, don't let it break you. Just think, yeah, actually, I've been preparing myself for this. Let's do this. And I also encourage them to think about their dreams, the vision. You know, they're so caught up in what could go wrong, they forget to think about what they really want out of life. And we do the 12 months game, which works really well. And, you know, I've played that game with nearly every dentist, and they do it so well. And they find it quite refreshing because for a change, they're thinking about things that could go well. And, you know, I find that, you know, I have lots of clients from different professions, and I tend to only coach professionals who come from good careers. But I've noticed, and maybe it's because my sister's a dentist and my older brother's a doctor and my dad is a retired doctor. But I've really enjoyed coaching dentists. You know, they're intelligent, they're hardworking, they listen really well, and they take action. And you know that I'm really picky with who I work with. And you always tell me it's okay to be picky with, but you know, there's loads of people I tell them, okay, this is the end of our coaching because I feel like it's not going to work. And you always say it's all right. But I'm picky, but my conversations and the coaching that I've done with dentists, I've actually really enjoyed.
Brilliant. Yeah, I think that's a message for everyone, is be picky with who you work with anyway, just because you're going to get better results. And I guess it reminds me of a metaphor I often use in these cases, which is like, it sounds like an extreme form of that, which is, you know, I sort of almost see, you know, someone's life as a sailing boat. And, you know, a sailing boat, while it's safe tied up in the harbour, it's not really in existence. It's not a way to live. And it seems like a lot of these dentists are so struck with fear that that's the existence they're living. It works, but it's very, very restricted. And that, you know, what you're doing is enable them to make the preparation so they feel comfortable going out and sailing the boat. And coaching is really effective about creating shifts like that from, you know, a life of fear to you know, an expansive life. And equally, there might be a dentist listening to this going, actually, you know what, actually my practice is doing pretty well, doing all right. That's actually when you really should have coaching, because then you can expand into a much bigger game because things are going well. And you can go into a big game, and Sadia will be really good at helping you doing that as well. So both cases are relevant. If there is someone watching this video that's resonated with them, Sadia, how would they get in contact with you to arrange a conversation?
So I think the best way to contact me would be through my coaching Facebook page. So I realize now there's more than one Sadia Jafferys.
Not more than the original one, but they're people with the name.
I know, only one unique me. But I think if you click on the pages link rather than the people link, when you put in my name, there's only one Sadia Jaffery public page. So I think that's the best way to get in touch. Or they could get in touch via LinkedIn. I think thankfully on LinkedIn, I'm still the only Sadia Jaffery, if you spell my name correctly. So yeah, either of the two. Very cool.
And equally, if anyone's watching this video on one of my channels, knows me, feel free to contact me. I'll put you in contact with Sadia as well. So, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this video. I've learned a lot as well. Learned a lot about a profession that I didn't know much about, and I can see the parallels with so many other professions as well. So thank you so much for the time. I'm sure we'll do another one of these videos in the near future, and I will sign off. Everyone say goodbye for now and see you all soon.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.